Welcome to Two Baptists and That Amish Chick, a podcast brought to you by the Butterchurn Girls. I'm Leslie.
And I'm Bethany.
And I'm Berlin. Join us for candid conversations about organized religion, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how we broke free from it while holding on to our faith in God.
In these candid conversations, you can expect to laugh, to relate, occasionally cry, and definitely hear a few cuss words.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and follow at the Butterchurn Girls on all socials. Now for this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back. We are excited to have you this week. We are going to talk about some of the differences in language and how we have come to have completely different understandings about things that are commonly talked about within the church. Mm-hmm. And it's probably something you've never even thought of before, because it really came up a couple of weeks ago and we went, whoa, like mm-hmm. we kind of started pulling from other conversations from a couple, like from the past, and just kind of started putting all this together. And so we're going to talk about the word specifically of lost. So what does it mean, and how like our understanding of it has like been so skewed for so long, right? Because there's always that common conversation in the church about we seek to save the lost. Are they lost though? And like, what's the, like, there's a lot of like brain science and different stuff behind the language of it that's so important to what the word means.
Yeah. I think a good place to start is actually just ask the question, like, what do we actually think that our church cultures in the Amish or the Baptists, like whatever that we came from, that we were raised in, what do they actually mean by it? Like, what was our understanding of like what we meant by it? Because that's an interesting concept just to start, because different people may mean different things or think there's different things. And so I think that's one thing, which for me, like, it was like the people who are lost are the people that have not followed these exact specific steps of, we prayed the sinner's prayer, quote unquote, right? Prayed the sinner's prayer. To ask Jesus into their heart, to save them from being a dirty, rotten, evil sinner that they were born to be. And like, that was kind of the definition of what it was. Now that's not obviously we believe now, but
like
how things have changed.
Yes. They've changed so much. And I think even just, us laying the ground or the framework of what we were taught, being raised Amish, you guys being raised Baptist, it like, having that, because sometimes you don't realize how messed up what you were taught was until you are like, you get the truth or you get other versions and you're like, oh my gosh, what I was taught is so like
jacked up,
limited or jacked up. Yeah, it's just messed up. And so I think us each giving you, the listener, the definition of what we were taught will help where we're going, because we don't believe, at least I don't believe.
We don't.
We don't either.
You can speak for us.
Okay, I'm speaking for everybody here. We don't believe what we were taught about being lost anymore, right? Because we don't believe that people actually are ever lost. Nobody's lost.
It's true.
Yeah. So what did you believe as an Amish? What were you kind of taught?
So I was very much taught that anybody who wasn't Amish was lost. So all y'all Baptists were lost, like
all y'all.
No,
but you're not even Texan.
I know, but I've lived in Texas for 2 years, so
2 years.
Technically I can, no, I'm joking. I mean, I feel like I can. I caught on to the Texas way of life pretty quick. Yeah.
Okay. As the resident Texan, I'll allow it.
Okay. Well, I might have to have like an induction into being a Texan or something. I don't know how this works for Texas people, but
we'll see.
I'm sure it includes brisket and chips and a cowboy hat.
I mean, I'm down for that. I'm cool with it. But for me, so I should back up and say that what I said wasn't necessarily true, because it was like anybody who doesn't believe in God or Jesus or whatever is lost. That's what I was taught, raised Amish. And then the people who like were Christians and were like in a non-denominational church or Baptist or Pentecost or whatever, they didn't know better, right? Like, they're Christians. Yeah, they believe in God, but they just don't know better. And they just don't know as much as we do, because we're the best. Like, we know what's up, right? Us Amish people, we've got it down pat. Like, we've got all the, like, we know how to make God happy. Everybody else is trying. They're just bless their heart. Yeah, really. That's kind of what it came out down to. And it's like, it's a very much a like proud Amish thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people who were lost were the people who just didn't believe in God entirely.
Yeah.
And if you would ask the bishop, which is like the highest order of authority and control in the Amish church, if you would have asked like the leaders and him, if like who would he describe as lost, they would say anybody who doesn't believe in Jesus, but they would treat other people who weren't Amish as if they were lost. So it's like what they said and what they did didn't always match up, because there's a lot of that in that culture.
So was it just that they had to believe in God, or was it that they like God and that God and Jesus existed, or was it like they also had to perform certain things?
It was that.
Okay, because that's what I'm like, and for me in the Baptist, it could be like, I knew a lot of people that believed in God and believed in Jesus, but like you had to pray this specific prayer,
yes,
in order to be not lost,
right,
and to be like safe, to be a safe person, like not someone that we needed to go and find or something.
So I think it's so funny that you say that. Like, it's that anybody who didn't believe in Jesus was lost in my Baptist, because Berlin and I were both raised different kinds of Baptists,
like
right?
different parts of the country.
I was Southern Baptist. She was independent fundamentalist.
Yes.
I'm so impressed that I get that.
Yeah.
Every time I get it,
it's so long.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if I got the words
There's
mixed
so
up.
much to it too.
But no, it's like
long
if
as the
you,
skirts.
Oh my gosh.
our skirts have to be long enough that it fits all the letters.
Listen. That's how the Amish were.
It's not a ruler around the knee, like it has to be an inch or two. No, it just has to fit all the letters. No, but like if you didn't believe in Jesus, you were lost. Yeah. But then if you didn't believe the way we believed, you were just confused. Right?
Yeah.
It's almost like
the
you're
Amish
fine,
did
but
that.
you're like you might end up off the like right road. Right.
That describes what the Amish believed, like to a T.
Yeah. Like it feels like there's one way. And unfortunately, so many denominations, like I've gone to a lot. So I do kind of speak for several at once here.
Leslie's been to all the churches.
I mean,
not quite.
Church
pretty
hopper.
much.
I'm joking.
Little bunny rabbit over here.
I know, that's what I was like. That's all I could do is the shoulder bounce. Apparently the bunny.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I have no idea where I was going.
Something about all the denominations.
Yep.
And being
confused.
lost, being confused.
Yeah. Yep. We'll circle back.
Okay.
I got it. It's not there anymore. I bunny hop too much. But I know, like when I think I found my way back. So I think we'll see. But no, I think every single one of them believed like their route was the right route.
Mm-hmm.
And any other one is like, you're heading slightly in the right direction. Maybe you'll come join our road. Yeah. It's like, maybe you'll get some sense and come join our road. Whether that was like the Catholics are the right ones, they're the original church, they're the whatever that belief is, right? I've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
Whether it was the Baptist thinking, oh, but we do it the right way. We're not as legalistic as this over here or that, which they're still pretty dang legalistic if you ask me. But there's a lot of different like opinions about it. But I'm gonna rabbit trail.
Yeah, do it.
Here goes the bunny
That's
again.
What we do here.
Like I hear this a lot, and it actually came from one of our spicy Facebook posts, and somebody was like,
it was mine, wasn't it?
Nope, this one was actually mine. No, it was actually one that I did. But somebody commented and like, it's just such a narrow road that we're on. And I'm like, why the hell is your road narrow? The gate is narrow because the gate is Jesus.
Right.
But it opens up. If you're on, why are you limiting yourself if you're on a narrow road?
Right.
So anyway, coming back to the word of lost, like I'm going to circle it back, but like, are they lost? Because Jesus knows exactly where they're at. The shepherd knows exactly where, like the shepherd knows where the sheep are. Like he's not worried about it.
Well,
Right?
And the thing, go ahead, Leslie, or Berlin. What were you gonna say?
I honestly think that like kid song that like he's got the whole world in his hands,
but
like,
he doesn't.
Unless you're Baptist.
Yeah.
Or Amish.
But it's like I literally, as a kid, always envisioned
Oh,
God actually physically just like one hand held out with this like world spinning in it and the galaxy and stuff, and he's like, oh, they're right there. They're
Yeah,
right
I got
there.
all
Like,
of them.
I don't know where. I know where all the people
I
are.
haven't
No
lost
one's
any of my kids.
Yeah, no
Right.
one's lost. They're all right there. I know where they're at. I love them. They're great.
Right.
They
like-
just haven't encountered me yet.
Right.
And they have. They just don't realize
Well,
it's me.
that's the thing. Like
Yes.
everybody, every person, and I know we've said this 500,000 times, but we'll keep saying it. Everybody is a piece of God walking the earth.
True.
Like everybody. It doesn't matter what you believe. You are a child of God. You come from him, like you're a divine being, you're a being of light,
Mhm.
you're more supernatural than you're natural.
Yes.
Like we've been trained out of our natural state. We come in as a baby and we get forced into these ways of believing and doing things. We get trained out of our natural state, which is to be supernatural before we're natural,
Yes.
to be a child of God, to being limitless, and we get trained into being limited and more natural than supernatural,
And having a narrow
and, like,
way.
and being like, oh, like I can be lost. No, you're actually never lost. You're still a child of God. Like it doesn't matter what you do. It's just, what are you aware of?
I was going to say, it's a
Like,
change in your awareness.
It's a change of your awareness, and you deciding to agree with, okay, yeah, the truth is I am a child of God. Like I've always been his kid and he isn't mad at me, right? Because we've also been taught, well, oh, God's mad at you. And if you got to work your way
you
into
got to
that.
grovel
Like,
your way to the right road.
if you have kids, you, the listener, have kids, do your kids have to grovel their way into being your child? And like they could lose their family name if they mess up too much? No. They can't. Like they're literally your blood. It's the same way with all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're all kids, at God's kids. We can't lose our status. It doesn't matter what we do. And that's super like safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a really like comforting thing, reassuring, right? And like, so you're never really lost. You just might take a different road than somebody else, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like for something to be lost, it has to be like you can't even see it anymore. You can't find it. Like you don't even know where it's at. And you think God's like that? Like he's like, oh shit, Berlin, I can't see her anymore. Like where's she at? Like what happened to her?
I lost her.
I lost her.
Where is she?
Yeah. Like that means like you're limiting God.
He's not God then.
Yeah, exactly.
And isn't it so the opposite? We're not lost. Like he knows where we're at.
Right.
We just don't know where he's at. And maybe we don't
Yes.
even know him. Right. So
Or we do know
language
him,
of
but we don't realize it's
right.
him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like the lost language, I feel like it's like we're seeing the backside of the coin, for lack of better words. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the right like analogy, but it's like we've lost sight of him and lost sight of like who he is. Because I do believe that we're born knowing exactly.
Yes.
But it's just, I mean, I don't know if this, I don't know. I just think like we're born knowing, but the more we get immersed in
the culture,
our world,
right?
the further we get from that, and we have to be reintroduced to it, right?
Yes. We
Because
have to
we're three
remember
parts.
who we
Yes.
are.
So we're 3 parts. We're body, soul, and spirit. And our spirit was there before our body was, right?
Right.
And so our body has been, or our spirit has been with him since the beginning of time. Like we were with him forever. And so
we're really thousands of years old.
And our spirits really know God more than we even recognize at this point, but it is trained out of us to have that awareness and that connection with it. That's why kids have imaginary friends. You think they're actually imaginary friends, or are they seeing the angelic? Are they seeing the supernatural? Are they moving in those things?
are they even seeing Holy Spirit? Like we have a friend whose daughter will go outside when the wind blows, and she was like, I'm going to go play with Wendy. Wendy's her imaginary friend. Well, Wendy is Holy Spirit. Like everyone knows that. Like every one of us that knows her knows that. And she'll go outside every once in a while and come back in. Mom, I don't know who that was, but that wasn't Wendy. Like, I don't know who that was.
See, kids already know the difference between light and dark.
She's got it. It's so cool.
That is so freaking cool. And like we train kids out of that. Like, oh, that's just your imagination. Oh, you're just full of, whatever.
But sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, like that is actually one of the things that drives me crazy is imagination is where we were created first in God.
Listen,
his
come on.
imagination. So why the hell are we training the core out of these kids?
Right.
We were created in God's image. And part of that is having an imagination where we can create the world that we're supposed to create.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this has something to do with this topic, but you literally just made me have a thought about me being in church as a teenager. And I don't know if your church had this, but they always had like little notes papers. So you could
The offering envelopes. Yeah, you doodle.
And you doodle on them, you fill in, the O, doodle, right?
Every time.
And I'm getting pulled out of church because I wasn't paying attention. Now, first of all, when I doodle or something, I pay attention better. But second of all, I was actually doing the first thing that God did, which is create. And they were telling me stop, because they're giving you a list of rules and a list of things to do that we are saying that you need to perform in order to be a good Christian, quote unquote. So we need you to stop being like God and doing what he first did. And go be lost, really be lost in the rules and in the physical and in the humanity, and pull back from the first spiritual thing that we have to read about in like scriptures and stuff, right? Like the first, not the first spiritual thing, but like creativity.
The first aspect and attribute of God we see is creativity.
So I have a follow-up question. So our definite, like the Christian world, like the religious world, let's put it that way, because religion is man's way to God, right? That God never created.
Things you have to do.
Things you have to do. So if religion's term of lost is like, oh, you're not doing the things we trained you to do, what is the actual definition of lost? Are there a lot of lost people in religion because they've literally been trained out of their natural state and now they're lost in religion? Like they're lost in a different world.
Handy dandy Google.
Let's open up the Google.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the religion is like, oh, you're lost if you're not doing the things we tell you to do. But is lost actually, you just lost who you were always made to be because religion trained you into being lost.
So really,
like
and we often talk about how there's,
but you didn't really lose it,
right? There's people and leaders in the world that are more kingdom than in the church.
Yes.
So are those like, they're not lost? They know exactly who and where they're supposed to be, and they're owning it,
right?
But then the people in the church, they feel so limited by this narrow road and all this other stuff that of course they're lost. They can't see anything because they're too worried. They're too scared to take a step.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about being in God's will. What? You're in the gate. Like, let loose a little bit.
Right.
God, I heard this several years ago and it's actually given me a lot of peace. God can steer like a moving car. God can't steer a parked car. So if you're not moving, he can't like move you where you need to go.
Because God,
but if you move, even in the wrong direction, he can redirect.
Yeah, because you're supposed to co-create, co-labor. Like it's like a partnering up with God. God is not like, I'm gonna make you, like we're taught that he makes you do things and he takes over. Like he's like a what's the word, omnipotent, or like he just controls everything. No, like he put us.
He is omnipotent. That means everywhere, but he's everywhere. Not like he's not controlling.
He's not omnipresent.
Omnipresent. Oh,
he's everywhere. Omnipotent.
Yeah. Oh. What's the word that people? What's the word that people use for like he's in control of everything and he takes like he's just
like a dictator?
Yeah,
like I know that's not it.
There's like a religious or a term that religion uses for that.
I'm googling all the things, guys.
And so while you're googling that, like he actually, you can find this in Genesis. If you go read Genesis, it says he made man in his image and he said, let them have dominion. That means he said, hey, humanity, I'm putting you on this earth and you're going to have dominion, sovereign. Or
sovereignty. This just said that, but that doesn't feel
what's
right.
the word? Dang it.
Anyways, we all know what we're talking about.
We know what we're talking about. Yeah. So he put us in control.
Oh, omnipotent, having unlimited power, able to do anything.
That is what you said.
So I was right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
You were right.
But hey, it's good to look up words because we're all about that, right?
Well, and I was like, that's the whole point of this episode too.
Yeah.
Is like, what really is the meaning behind the language?
Yeah. So he's not omnipotent. Like because he chose to put us in control and remove himself and say, hey, if you want my help, I would love to partner with you and help you do everything that I created you to do, to be limitless, to do all these things. But he's waiting on us to be like, yeah, hey, I would love your help. I'd love to partner with you because it requires a relationship, and he's a relational God.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the
will
core
is
of
essential.
Yeah, our free will is essential. Like he's not going to force himself and make you do anything. So
God is not a rapist. He will not
Yes.
force himself on you. We have a
And
friend
if
that
we've
says
been-
that all the time.
like if we've been taught that, it's like out of people wanting to manipulate, I believe,
100%.
out of people wanting to manipulate and control you.
Yeah.
So they make you think God is that person that they're wanting to make you believe they are,
Yeah.
or they want you to do.
That's
Anyway,
good.
So read the definition.
Definition of loss is unable to find one's way, not knowing one's whereabouts, denoting something that has been taken away or cannot be recovered. So if
Okay.
someone is lost from a Christian religious perspective, they can't be recovered.
What's the point?
We might not even try. They gone.
mhm.
Hashtag they gone.
He gone. But okay, but that part that says, what does it say? Unable to find one's way, not knowing one's whereabouts.
So it's just
How
literally our
many-
perspective.
Yeah.
So yes, you can be lost, but it's not somebody else's job to say, oh, they're lost. So it's not the church's job to label people as lost. You go, oh, I'm lost and I need to find my perspective. I need to find my direction.
And maybe even the place of, this is how I envision it, right? Where they're saying someone's lost via they haven't prayed the prayer I told them that they need to pray. They have not changed their life in the way I think that they should change it. When really that like unable to find one's way, that not knowing one's whereabouts, for me, that like, if we were to say that someone was lost, it would be that they do not have the awareness that they are inside God and they are a piece of God.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to call someone lost, like that's to say, like they have not found the awareness yet of the dominion they have on earth, of the power that they carry,
Right.
of the goodness that they walk in, of the fullness, the fact that they are like a good person, basically, that they are righteous.
Yeah.
Like all of those things is what I would actually like. I think right now in this moment, I'm like forming what that actually means to me.
Yeah.
Right.
But like reading that definition, that's what it makes me think of what a lost person should be if we're going to call someone lost. Like if we have to use that term, that's what I'm going to think of. In
They're
my mind.
unaware of who they are and what they were made to do.
And how different is that narrative from the lost are the ones that are going to burn in hell?
Right.
Like this situation
Yeah.
has hope.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to save. I'm using church language here. You're never going to save somebody by scaring them. You have to give them hope.
right. Right.
So like you have,
Well,
hope is so essential. Fear
mean,
doesn't do anything.
fear works for some people for a limited time, right?
Mhm.
Fear can do a lot for people, especially if they don't know who they are and what they were made to do. You can scare that person into anything, use intimidation, fear, whatever. This is the thing though. How many people, including, I'm thinking about me growing up Amish. How many times was I told, well, you don't know if you're actually saved. We don't know. You can't be certain about that. You can't like be certain about anything because you could lose your salvation if you do the wrong thing and you die the next day, then bang, you're in hell. Like I was taught that. And that's a bunch of baloney.
What a crapshoot.
But that's the definition of lost. I was unable to find my own way, not knowing my whereabouts. I was constantly in a state of like, well, I don't know. Like, will I lose it? Am I not? Like, I don't know. Is God pleased with me? Is he not? Did I do the right thing? Did I mess up? Like, do I have to pray the prayer that
Has
like,
it been taken away?
Yes.
Can it not
Like,
be recovered?
that makes God sound so evil and disgusting.
He's
Yeah.
manipulative that in that sense. But I think that's the issue is we have this God that's actually being taught by manipulative people.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because they need to hit a quota. They have numbers. They have they need
I
more
think-
tithe.
and I think
Like,
most people
dude.
I think most
we
people
won't go
in there are people in church who are intentionally manipulative, right?
Yes.
I think most of people in church are unaware of the
Yes.
ways they're being taught, and they don't mean to be manipulative. They don't mean to be like harsh or judgmental, but it's what they were taught. and it's the only thing they know, and they've never questioned what they were taught. They just took it as the truth and went with it. And so now they are operating in a way, they're so unaware of what they're actually doing, because they just, it's like spoon feeding a baby. Like, you know, when Jafar puts his rod towards in Aladdin, when he uses his rod to like control the sultan, it's, I always think of it that way. Like, it's Jafar pointing his rod in your face and being like, this is the truth. And it's like, yeah, this is the truth. It's like,
and we've
been
told that your whole life. So many, it's a whole life, and it's generation after generation after generation after generation.
It's like imprinted into you to believe this. And like the people who question it get, oh my gosh, the backlash and the shit they get thrown at them, because how dare you defy the truth? How dare you? If you have to bully somebody to defend what you believe,
how good is what you believe?
What are you believing?
That's not God.
Like the truth defends itself. It does not need you to defend it.
Yeah.
And if you believe the truth, you can be that. Like, I now am like, I love having conversations with people who don't believe the same way I do, because
you find more pieces of God. At least that's what happens for me.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, you know something I don't know, because like you have a different aspect of him.
Because my identity isn't in what I believe anymore. It's in a relationship. I don't care. Like, my relationship with God is so solid for me that I don't really care what you believe. Like, I know the relationship with God is a thing that's changed my life the most. I found out he's real. He's not a rule producer or like a, you know, maniac up there, bipolar, who's wanting to like to actually take me out. He just wants a relationship. He's actually not threatened by me believing something that's not true, because he knows that if we continue this relationship together, I'll eventually find it, and I'll eventually discover it.
He can engage in that relationship in any way. It's like when you go into like a certain religion, if you're like, I'm in the Baptist, it's like, okay, God only sends conversations through Amos and Messenger, guys. Amos and Messenger is all we've got. And you're like, there's email.
You were Amish. I was waiting for it.
You were still Amish.
Waiting for that.
So,
oh my gosh. That's amazing.
I'm sorry.
So
I grew up under a rock.
It's a chat. It's an online chat from like early 2000s.
So is it like Facebook Messenger?
It's like AOL Instant Messenger. So AIM Instant Messenger.
We'll send you some TikToks about it.
Okay.
We'll YouTube that later. We usually have YouTube lessons with Bethany after. That needs to be a whole series, guys.
It's true, because
Anyway.
like I grew up in the 90s, but I grew up in a bonnet and a dress and driving a horse and buggy and talking German. So
Literally
very different.
Yeah.
yes.
So so it's like, you know, they're like, God,
Speaking of lost, no,
I was
Just like,
I was one of the most lost people because I didn't know who I was.
I'm currently lost right now in this conversation, she says. So, you know, they were like, the God only talks through Amos and Messenger. And you're like, there's letters, there's emails, we can do phone calls. We have Facebook Messenger now. Shoot, we had MySpace back then. You know what that is. We've talked
Yes.
about
I do know what MySpace is.
But like, it's like the religion as a whole acts like God can only have a relationship with you in one way. And God's like, no, you want to call me light? Call me that.
Right.
You want to call me higher power? Call me that.
You call me Mother Earth?
You want to call me Mother Earth?
That.
Call me that. Like, I don't care what you call me.
You're still encountering me.
Yeah, like he's like, I know who I am, so I don't give a fuck what you call me. Okay.
Right.
Like he's like, I don't care. Right. I just want to know that you're talking to me. Are we doing it in a yoga class? Are we doing it with a Bible on our lap? Are we doing it in worship? Are we doing it while running a trail? Are we how are we doing
crocheting?
Are we crocheting? Are we gonna
building
go
businesses?
Whatever it is. Like, yes.
I'm sorry, all I can think about is that song.
What song?
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a damn. And the Tambourine Tyler.
Oh my god.
You guys look that up on TikTok.
Oh yes.
My god.
Tambourine Tyler
is my favorite.
It's like
one of my favorites.
a super, I don't want to call it super charismatic. What is it like?
It's like
a Pentecostal church, and they're playing that song, and the kids like playing it. It's
They like
funny.
me.
Oh god,
It's hilarious.
but he's on beat though.
He is.
For
He's
like
got
he's
it.
got rhythm.
It's true.
Even if it's only a tambourine and jumping up and down.
Oh
like,
my
he's got it.
gosh.
Anyway, continue. That's all I could think of. Was just that song was going through my head, and I was like, I have to say this so that it stops going through my head. we're talking about the different
But yeah,
ways.
it's just like God's like, I don't care how we have a relationship. I can do it all these different ways. And that's something like when I was in religion, it was always like, oh, I'm Baptist, Buddhism is wrong, and Catholic is wrong, and this is wrong. I was like, they're talking to Satan, they're in a cult, I had all these different languages. It couldn't be possible that they were talking to God and had a relationship with God in a different way than I did. Like God was so limited to where God's like, oh no, I only know how to do it this way.
Well, because they put God in a box.
Yes. We go back there all the time. Like they put God in a box.
Yeah.
And so like, it's so important to remember, like God has access to talk to us every single freaking way. This podcast started because I heard a joke in the shower about you should start a podcast called Two Baptists That Amish Chick.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yep.
Months into recording,
Yeah.
right? These episodes where we've had like amazing conversations.
Because and if everybody's that's such a good point. And if everybody's a piece of God, different piece of God, not the same, but a different piece of God walking the earth, then the way that he talks to them is going to be different. The way the communication, the way they like to communicate is going to be different. And so who are we to say that somebody's lost when they're just communicating with God in a different way, and we're actually missing out on a facet of God because we instantly judged it because it makes us uncomfortable or we don't like it, right? And then we judge that piece of God, like, oh, you can't do it that way, you're lost, whatever. Who's actually lost here? Who doesn't know their way? Who's constantly questioning if they have it or not? Those are the definitions of lost. And usually the religious people are the ones who are the most scared that they're not going to make it, or like, you know, they're going to lose, they're going to lose it or something like that.
Yeah. And even like in this definition we have here, it said, denoting something that has been taken away or cannot be recovered. Is the reason, if you're lost and you cannot be recovered, like, first of all, we're kind of almost saying that religion is actually the lost person. I think we've got
I think that's kind
basically
of where we've landed. Yeah.
Because according to the definition, that makes more sense than like the people religion is calling lost.
Right. But so what it says cannot be recovered. So if you're pushing away these attributes of God, these ways of communicating with God, that's why you cannot be recovered. That's really what it would be.
You're literally isolating yourself.
Yes.
You're like choosing to like be in this place of by myself. There's nobody else around me. That's usually what happens when you're lost. There's literally nobody else there. Your people don't know where you're at, or you don't know where you're at. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm lost because I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's good. So one of the things with this word that we actually started talking about, and this is definitely going to have to go to a second part, guys.
Yes, it is.
But I do want to mention this part so we can leave the whole second episode for a certain topic.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the word lost, whenever I started learning how and being trained in emotional healing, they were training us about people with weight loss. So what happens when you lose something? Your brain is automatically trained to go find it. Oh, I lost my car keys. I got to go find them. Oh, like I lost my dog. I got to go find him. Like, you're automatically trained. And so when it comes to like weight, when you lose it, your brain's automatically trained to go find it. So it's going to hold on to it.
For it.
And so what happens if we change the narrative of like, oh, the religious are now lost? How would that be different, right? When the religious go, oh, I need to go find. And I think that is exactly what happened. We realized we were lost. And that's what led to our deconstruction, right?
Yeah.
So we went, oh, I've lost it. I got to go find it.
And I got to go find it. Like, often
I think it's not always external. There's internal, a lot of internal searching as well too.
Like finding things internally because you were made. That's such a good point, Leslie, because you were made with everything you need on the inside, but you were taught to not believe it. You were taught to always look on, like, I have to look on the outside. I have to look for the answers. I have to look for the formula, the solution, whatever. Hey, you know what? You're a piece of God. He's inside of you. That piece is inside of you. And you're inside of him. So if you start like looking on the inside of you, you just might find what you're looking for. Don't say it.
Sorry.
Don't you dare say it.
Listeners who aren't seeing this on camera,
go to YouTube real quick and just watch that.
Listen, I wasn't looking down my shirt. Okay.
You did.
No, I was like doing.
She's like looking down her shirt, like, God, are you there?
at your shirt, but I was like, I know from the
She's like,
camera.
the girls are there, but not God.
The girls
Listen,
said hi to the
That's
girls.
what we're really concerned about here. Like, I was concerned for a minute, so I had to make sure. Let's put a pin in that and like end this episode.
Oh my
How's
goodness.
that?
So there's definitely more aspects that we use the word lost in, like in church circles, religious circles, in just in the world in
Berlin,
general.
stop it.
Listen, that's why I'm parking the train.
Yeah, we are stopping
But
this thing.
join us for part 2 next week, and we will dive in even more into different aspects of the word lost.
Yeah.
And how our beliefs have changed once we broke free of religion, once we were not lost anymore, and how we believe about it now. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.